What it do, cuckolds? It's your boy, the hater, up in this piece. And I'm back up in this mug on Reddit. The hater has been banned, as you can see right here, cucks. You're currently banned from this community and can't comment on posts. Well, I got news for you, pal. Maybe one day I'll make another account and go there and continue my reign of terror. The hater is back up in this piece, and I'm here to read some comments and read some cringe. So, with that being said, this is going to be another video.
Another one.
You know what I mean? And they're just angry because the hater's back. I'm back. All right, so let's get to it, sons. I hope you guys like those sound effects that I've added up in this. The hater's moving his production value up here and there. Now, the first thing that I wanted to talk about, because it was the first thing that popped up in my thing, despite the fact that it's 24 days old. I don't know. It's by Aware of Ana Lucia, who is a top 1% poster, which probably means they spend their lives on this forum. This is like whatever, an Instagram story, I think it's called. The hater's not big on the socials for now. And it's about Brody King, or I should say it's by Brody King, And it starts out here with the teenage girl from the 80s catchphrase. Let me be clear. You know what I mean? Oh, no. Sorry, I had my coffee up in this. The fact is, people should talk normal again, whatever happened to that. Now let's see what he has to say, because I already read it up in this, but I want to know what you guys think, so we're going to discuss this. So, Brody King says, let me be clear. What's happening in Los Angeles right now is not only morally reprehensible, it's legally indefensible. He's wrong. This is a sanctuary city, a destination, or a designation, I should say, that was democratically voted on and enacted into law by the residents of this city, not by political opportunists grandstanding from a golf course in Florida. Yeah, that's not how federalism works in the United States. The federal government trumps or preempts, motherfucks, the state government, the city government, anything like that. Cities have very little power. A city cannot just say, oh, there's no murder is now allowed in the city. This isn't a fucking purge. Grow up, you know what I mean? Then he says, let's be clear. Being undocumented in the United States is not a criminal offense. It's a civil violation. That means it holds the same legal weight as running a stop sign on a bicycle, setting off a firework after a drink, which is perfectly legal in many different places, or selling unlicensed fan merch on Etsy. It is subject to civil penalties, typically a fine, not imprisonment, not detention, and certainly not extrajudicial abduction. He's wrong about nearly everything here. We'll talk about it. Let's continue. Dragging someone off the street at gunpoint without warrant or due process and forcing them into an unmarked vehicle operated by armed, plainclothes agents is not law enforcement. It is armed kidnapping, and armed kidnapping is a felony. A real one. Not to be confused with
another one.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to obsess over who is quote unquote illegal, start by looking at the heavily armed individuals violating constitutional protections under the guise of enforcing the law, because what they're doing is criminal, not the people they're targeting. So first of all, he's basically wrong about everything. But I will say this, the hater has to give some respect here to Brody King. A lot of what is happening is unfortunately very ugly, right? I think most people, even the ones that are for, ICE doing the raids and everything, I think most people are still decent. And when you see like a Mexican woman, like a single mother, her life being ruined because she's about to be deported, the hater, I don't know about y'all, the hater feels bad, right? Now, that's an important thing to consider, right? The emotions behind these times are important, and I think Brody King is operating from a place of emotions. He's a very emotional guy, clearly. And, I think that's usually a sign of a good person. So I am willing to say that Brody King is a good person. However, this doesn't change the facts, right? The facts are not dependent on the way we feel about things, right? There is still right and there is still wrong. So the hater is going to break this shit down to you the correct way, not from the perspective of Brody King, who, quite frankly, I don't know, maybe he's a genius, but he probably isn't. And even if he is, in this case, he's 100% wrong. Now, the hater is an immigrant himself. I came here legally, but I get it. I get it more than most Americans do. The life of an immigrant is very hard. And the hater has gone out of his way to help immigrants, especially people trying to build a life in America, because I get it. It's difficult. It ain't easy. The hater came in here with no English, and look at me now, cucks. I'm using words like cucks up in this bitch. So anyways, the point is, I empathize, right? But empathy is only so important, right? We have to empathize with everybody. So that's what we're going to do here as we analyze what Brody King has said and we look at the comments, which I'm assuming are going to be vastly retarded. So first off, I want to start out with paragraph 3 here, where he says that dragging someone off the street at gunpoint without a warrant or due process and forcing them into an unmarked vehicle operated by armed plainclothes agents is not law enforcement. It absolutely is. It is not armed kidnapping, and it is 100% legal. Now, the hater will share some information about himself here. The hater has had several run-ins with the law, all of which, well, not all of which, but most of which have been the hater's fault. You know what I mean? The hater's been arrested. The hater has a couple of DUIs up in this bitch before I quit drinking, shortly before I started this channel, when everything magically turned good. When the hater quit drinking, motherfucks, I realized I was still the cool guy at the party. I realized I was still the hater, you know what I mean? Well, I guess at that point I wasn't the hater. So the hater is, like, imagine drunk hater, you know what I mean? Who wants to see that? But anyways, the point is, when the cops or law enforcement of any kind arrest you, right? The word arrest in English means to stop. There's a show called Arrested Development, right? The point of the name is that the development of these people has stopped, right? They are underdeveloped. That's what arrest means. So I bring this up because this philosophy of dragging someone off the street at gunpoint without a warrant or due process is just plain wrong. Now, the hater personally believes in due process. You know, some of these people, like that guy, I forget his name, like Abstergo or whatever the fuck his name was, that guy that got deported to like El Salvador without due process, that's fucked up. You can't be deporting people without giving them a fair trial, because what if tomorrow they arrest your boy, the hater, and I say, hey, hold on a second, man, I'm a fucking citizen and I have been since like 2006 or whatever, you know? And they're like, too bad, where's your passport? And I say, it's at home, motherfucker, give me a minute. And they say, too bad, we're deporting you to El Salvador. You know, I don't want that to happen. I want to have an opportunity to tell my side of the story. That's what due process is, right? Arrest warrants are obviously not necessary. If you've ever been arrested like the hater was when I was driving drunk, right? The cop doesn't need a warrant to say, oh, here's a warrant from the court saying I can arrest you. That's fucking stupid. You can arrest people under what are called exigent circumstances, right? Like if a cop sees you breaking the law, he's not going to call the courthouse and say, I need a warrant to arrest this guy in a shooting spree. He's probably going to shoot your ass, but if he can't, he'll arrest you, right? Due process is something that happens in the courtroom, right? Law and order. The due process part is a law part. You don't need due process, right, to arrest someone. You need reasonable suspicion or probable cause, or depending on what country you're in, some standard thereof, right? In America, you need probable cause. So you arrest someone when you have a reason, and it has to be probable cause, right? You have to know with a certain level of certainty that these people are illegals, right? Then, of course, you can arrest them, right? And this brings me to paragraph 2, where he says, let's be clear for the second time. Being undocumented is not a criminal offense. It's a civil violation. Now, the hater, again, sympathizes, well, not sympathizes, but empathizes with illegals or undocumented immigrants, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, right? But this is a stupid point that he's making, right? That means it holds the same legal weight as running a stop sign on a bicycle. Well, if the hater is running around a neighborhood, running the stop sign again and again, eventually, if a cop sees me, he's going to do what, motherfucks? He's going to pull me over, right? What does that mean? That means that he's stopping me from continuously running the stop sign, meaning that he's stopping me from continuously breaking the law. That's how it works, right? You don't just get to finish your crime, right? Imagine this. Imagine a cop just walks into a room and he sees a man raping a woman, right? What's the cop going to do? Is he going to call the courthouse and say, I need a warrant to arrest this man? What's your name, bro? For rape, right? Or is he going to grab the guy and handcuff his bitch ass, right? He's going to do the latter. And the reality is that even if the crime is big, small, a violation, a civil one, a ticketable offense, in almost every case, there are some exceptions, but in almost every case, the government, right, through the police, is going to stop you from continuing the crime, right? The crime in this case is being in the United States illegally. So the media and people like Brody King, who probably aren't that smart, if we're being honest, are internalizing this, right? They're internalizing this as like, oh, the government is punishing these people. No, motherfucks. If the crime is you can't be in the United States with your current status, and the cop sees you committing the crime, which is being in the United States without your current status, he or she is going to stop you from continuing to commit the crime. It's not a punishment. It is an arrest. They're going to be like, well, wait a second. We need to establish whether or not you can be here, right? We have reason to think that you can't. Arrest, right? This is not, and all the examples that this dipshit gives are things that the cops would stop you from doing. If you're selling unlicensed fan merch on Etsy, they will stop you from doing it. They'll say, take that shit down. Then you get due process, you go to court, and if the people that have the license sue you, which they will, and by the way, you can go to jail for that too. He's wrong about that as well, right? Or if you set off fireworks, and it's illegal to set off fireworks after you've had a drink, whatever the fuck he's talking about, right? The cops will come and they'll be like, shut this shit down. You're not allowed to sell fireworks or to set off fireworks, right? That's how it works, motherfuckers. A lot of things are not punishable by prison. It doesn't mean that we just let people do them. There's a difference between civil, or as he calls it, I should say, civil offenses, civil violations, and things that you're allowed to do. There's a big difference. You can't just equate the two because it feels good, right? Now, again, the hater, I love the immigrants, but the reality is that people did not vote to keep them here, right? The hater didn't even vote this last election, you know? The hater, you'll be surprised, motherfuckers, to know that the hater voted for Obama, right? I know all of you think I'm some massive conservative, but I voted for Obama the first time around, and then I voted for Trump the first time around. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. The hater is a nuanced guy. I consider myself to be a moderate. You know what I mean? But the reality is that we have to look at things from both sides. The perspective here is not just, oh, poor undocumented immigrant. What about the people that just straight up don't want them around, right? The philosophy here is, I'm going to commit my crime and you have nothing to say about it. No, go fuck yourself, right? Simple as that. And a lot of people have accepted this philosophy, right? And they say things like, well, they're not committing any more crimes. Great. So by that logic, you just let the rapist continue to rape the woman because he's just raping her. Well, he didn't murder her, right? So what's the big deal? What do you mean, what's the big deal? You can't be doing this shit. We live in a society with rules, and the rules are elected democratically. But on the federal level, not on the city level, a bunch of dipshits get together and they're like, this is a sanctuary city. That's not a thing. The federal government doesn't have to listen to that, and they don't. ICE is a federal agency. You see what I'm saying? But the problem is, and this is not a problem with just this post, this is a problem with our squared circle, right? A lot of people, and just Reddit in general and society at large, right? A lot of people get on this motherfucker and they think to themselves, oh, I'm very smart. I'm going to go and say things on the internet, right? But the problem is they're not smart. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Brody King is a great example of that. Brody King, he might be a smart guy in some other facet. He seems to be a good guy, you know. I think a lot of people that like the intersection of good, dumb people is very, very high, right? They're not intelligent and they're good. So they're trying to say good things. They're trying to appeal to emotion. That is the sign of a not intelligent person usually, because the idea is that, you know, you can only appeal to emotion because you don't really have an argument. What's the argument here? Oh, it's not a big deal, so we should treat it like they're doing nothing wrong. That doesn't even make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, now that we got some context up in this bitch, let's look to see what the people are saying. Here's a promoted ad, which we're not going to read. Gloomchen, who is a moderator, whatever the fuck that means, I think that means that he's a dork, says, locking this one because it's been on all whatever for a while, and now folks outside of our community are making more headaches than they are participating in good faith. Fair enough. Now, here's the thing. The problem is, this has nothing to do with wrestling, right? There's a big difference about people getting together to discuss wrestling versus people getting together to discuss what a wrestler said. That's fucking weird. But anyways, neither here nor there. Comment Brody Wayne. It is what it is. People like him. I think that's a good thing usually. Then we've got here, oh, here we go. Ghost of Mutton Past, which is a clever name, but I don't like what this guy's saying. It says, thank you, Slim Jim. Clap, 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 or whatever. He says, it's just nice to see some wrestlers actually being fucking normal people after the whole Taker and Kane thing and Cody and company showing up with Trump's bullshit. Well, Kane is a politician. The Undertaker player is obviously a conservative. And I didn't know anything about Cookie and company. But the fact of the matter is, how is that any different? How is Kane or Undertaker or Cody going to Trump's bullshit, whatever the fuck he's talking about? How is that any different than Brody King being on the other side, being against Trump? How is that any better or worse? You know, the problem in America, one of the big problems, is that people have really demonized the other side, right? I think it's because people don't have friends from the other side. The hater, like a lot of my friends, are like super liberals. And two of my very close friends, one of them is like a reformed liberal who is like super conservative now, and the other one is just generally a conservative, right? And like the hater, I consider myself to be a moderate, but most people would say I'm conservative. But it is what it is. Like I have friends of all types. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to let this shit affect your friendship, right? Just because someone likes something you don't like, you can still be friends with them. And this goes like not just with politics, but with anything. You know what I mean? And look at this. Look at this guy. It's nice having outspoken counterpoints. It's not even a counterpoint. This is just a bunch of ramblings. When the weirdos here say that all wrestlers are secretly conservative. What? Who cares? Who gives a shit if they're conservative or liberal? They're just wrestlers, man. Just enjoy them when they do clotheslines. You know, you shouldn't take your cues, your social cues from wrestlers, right? They're not known to be intelligent. Now, some of them are, no doubt about it, obviously, in any kind of groupings. Like NFL players are not known to be intelligent, but obviously some of them are, right? But it doesn't mean that you should take your opinions from them. Your opinions should come from you, motherfuckers. Look at the facts and determine what you think is right or wrong. Don't let someone else tell you what's right or wrong. Like at that point, what's the point of living? You know, someone else telling you what's right and what's wrong. You can't come up with even that on your own. Cut. Anyways, that's how that goes. A lot of them, even if they aren't conservative, still value some conservative policies. A lot of people value conservative policies, which is fine. Good. Slavin 19 is not a complete idiot. I just don't like the MAGA weirdo types. Neither do I, motherfucks. There are people that worship Trump that think that he can do no wrong. I don't like those people either. We're on the same page, Slavin. Cuck. New People's Champion. No, nobody gives a shit. That look at this. He and Hangman are my unproblematic faves. There's nothing problematic about liking Trump. The vast majority of people like Trump, even the ones that were bullied into not voting, or the people that chose not to vote, like me, because I live in a liberal state, so it's a complete waste of time. Like, I probably wouldn't vote for him anyways, but I sure wouldn't vote for Kamala, believe you me. But the point is, like, despite that, he won the popular vote. Most Americans support Trump, right? Or at least did when the elections were there. So this notion that like these people are better than us, they're better than the rest of us because, oh, I'm too smart to support Trump. No, you're not. You're a fucking dipshit. Just like Brody King, he just says like 20 things. They're all wrong. And then he convinces himself he's not only right, but that he's better than everybody, you know? I don't want to like speak about Brody King because I don't know him personally, but it doesn't seem like, you know, he knows what he's talking about. Then we have some more ice stuff. I think you guys get the point. Let's go back and see if there's anything here that is going to, because I have to look for this because I heard there was something after it popped up first. Oh, look at this, Brock Lesnar. That's kind of cool. Look at that hair, man. It's badass. Look at him. He's still fucking jacked as shit. What else we got here? What else we got here? Van Dam. What the fuck? Like, okay, at least this is about wrestling. You know what I mean? Stacks Lorenzo. Oh, cute moment between Rhea and Io in Pittsburgh after cameras cut. Okay. I don't know why I turned on the volume. It's not like we're going to hear anything. They're just going to talk. All right, I'm waiting for this cute moment. It's probably some dorky shit. Let's see. Nothing's happening. There's like 10 seconds left, motherfuckers. They shook hands. That's the cute moment? All right. You see, this is what's wrong with wrestling. Let's click this to see these. There's only 40 comments. We'll click these. We'll do a little bit of research here. You see, right off the bat, right? The top 1%er here, he's saying, oh my God, just kiss already. And this post has 165 likes. Okay. This is not porn. This is wrestling, okay? And this is straight up weird. You know, they're there as combatants. They're not even in like a tag team, right? They're not supposed to be friends. They're supposed to be combatants, right? And this guy says LMAO, which is a reasonable response. They would have kissed in AEW. So, cut to 15 uninterrupted minutes of Rhea carrying Io around, brittle style. What the fuck is brittle style? Spinning around. Nobody wants to see that. I've heard people describe wrestling as romantic. Who? Who has described wrestling as romantic? What the fuck are you talking about? This is not My Little Pony. This is WWE. Like, okay, let's keep reading. I think Seth would solve so much of his anger if he just kissed CM Punk. 10. When I was here earlier, I must have clicked this because I did see this one before. Cucks reveal. This is another one.
Another one.
Now, I already filmed this video once, but I didn't have the audio on, Cucks. Oh, let's keep it unliked. Let's download this shit. Why? Why would Seth Rollins? Okay, I feel like it's an idea. This is where I stopped reading, though. If he hasn't considered nearly as much as we all have, in the dead of night, I remember this comment, during the most vivid of thoughts. What are you talking about? Nobody thinks of this except for you weirdos. Who the fuck thinks of Seth and CM Punk kissing? They're like, CM Punk's like 48. That's like fucking weird, man. Anyways, speaking of people kissing CM Punk, my wife read that Drew Punk Smut book? What? This has to be a joke. There's a Drew Punk smut book? Is that fan fiction that people wrote of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk banging? Oh, Claymore right to the ass. What is this, man? What is wrong with these fucks? Remember that video that I made where I argued slightly that wrestling fans basically are just like watching it for the sexual elements? Now they're just inventing that shit. They're like, it's like their dreams. Oh, what if Drew and CM Punk fucked instead of wrestling? Like, what? This is not that, you sick bastards. Basically, she didn't like that they teased a throuple and didn't follow up on that. And not Drew having a cat was her favorite. Okay, this guy fucking read it himself. There is no wife. This guy just read it himself, motherfucks. Not Drew, and real Drew would totally have a cat. We need to find this, guys. Someone find this and like email it to me or some shit like that. You know, because like I need to like, I'll do it for you guys, motherfucks. I will do it for you fucks. I will read this shit, find it, and email it to your boy. There's the email up in this mug. Oh my God. Rhea openly admitted that her EO cuddle backstage. So what? What does that mean? Sometimes girls cuddle. Doesn't mean they're kissing, you weirdo. Hope you don't mind me asking. We have an interview of the clip where Rhea has talked about this. This guy needs proof. This creep needs proof. That's sweet. Thanks for sharing. I like this part of being okay. This is at least a wrestling comment. Feud being pure face, other than the more tweener characterization Rhea had back in March. This reminds me of the celebration after War Games last year. No, Rhea has been a face since Dominic turned on her. What are you talking about? The lights did very quickly went off air. I guess an easy indicator of a commercial break. Okay, that's fine. That's a reasonable comment. You know, they're such wives. Okay, like this is just disheartening at this point. Rhea just has the ability to find a lover everywhere she goes. I don't know how she does it. Me neither, motherfucker, because you just invented this shit in your head. Oh, I don't know how she does it. This guy's like confused about the thing that he invented in his head. Oh, she has the ability to find a lover everywhere. This is not that. Think about what's going on with these people's heads. They look at this, they're like, this woman found a lover, right? She has an ability to do this anywhere. I wonder how. The question you're asking yourself is a direct consequence of you, like, fabricating this story. Now, I don't want to judge these people individually. I'm sure they're nice guys in real life, although I'm sure some of them are fucking creeps who probably have, like, weird shit on their computers, you know? So I don't really feel that bad, you know? So it is what it is. What? Oh, okay, this is it. This is going to be the last comment. I had a shower thought this week that the Io Rhea relationship is very Goku Vegeta coded. Gee, which one's Vegeta? The smaller one that tried to conquer the world? I guess Rhea is Vegeta because she's like a bad guy. What are you talking about? They can't do Kamehameha's cut. Anyways, that being said, we got to stop it here before I fucking lose my mind, man. These people need to be told I need to create a new account and we'll go from there. Cuts this.